What is going on, guys? It's Sean O'Connell, the managing director here at CinemaBlend, with a review of Kevin Smith's new film, Jay and Silent Bob Reboot. I wanted to do this on YouTube because I'm super excited for this movie, because I was able to see it, and I honestly think it's Kevin Smith's best film. I'm going to explain to you exactly why, but before I do that, go down and hit subscribe, turn on your notifications, because every single time we post a video like this on our YouTube channel, we want to make sure that you guys hear about it.
I'm Jay, and this my head of life mate, Silent Bob.
Now, don't worry about us spoiling Jay and Silent Bob's Reboot. Not that it's the type of movie that has a lot of huge plot points that we could give away, but I know that the release schedule for this film is a little bit funky because Kevin Smith and Jason Mewes are taking the film on the road for this Reboot roadshow. So it might be a while before you are able to actually see the movie, and I just want to get you excited for it so that when it's in your neck of the woods, you go and check it out.
And on that note, we cue the music.
First and foremost, this is the movie that Kevin Smith has been building to his entire career. If any of you guys have heard him talk about the reboot in interviews leading up to the film's release, he's been talking about the fact that the movie serves as a sequel to almost all of the major films in his filmography, meaning that he catches up with people who are important to Clerks. He catches up with people who are important to Mallrats. Of course, this is a sequel or spin-off to Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, but he also finds ways to reference films like Dogma as he's going through the course of this film. It is a great way to sort of bring back a lot of characters that Kevin Smith has created over the years, and a really great way for us to sort of revisit the actors that grew up in the View Askew universe, including some very surprising cameos, which of course I don't want to reveal here. The focal point stays on Jay and Silent Bob, two characters that have been pivotal to the creation of Kevin Smith's View Askew universe, and ones that we have not seen on screen in a long time as Kevin has sort of worked his way through these spin-off Canadian films like Tusk and Yoga Hosers, but it's really great to see him come back to the world of these colorful New Jersey characters that we grew to love early on in Kevin's career and see where they are at this stage in the story. This second point is what surprised me the most, because Kevin Smith has kind of gotten to the point where he is, throwing a lot of adolescent humor at the screen, trying to provoke his audience or explore that side of his comedy. So I was really surprised to find out that Jay and Silent Bob's Reboot is his most mature film since Chasing Amy. A lot of fans sort of beat the drum to Kevin Smith of saying, why don't you go back and make something that's as emotional and heartfelt and sentimental as Chasing Amy was. That was an early film in Kevin Smith's career where he was still working hand in hand with Ben Affleck and put together a really great romantic story that spoke to his indie roots and sort of built off of what he was doing in Clerks and Mallrats. From there, he got lost in the Jay and Silent Bob characters and then spun off to make a couple other experimental films, like when he teamed up with Bruce Willis in Cop Out, a movie that I think Kevin and all of his fans want to forget.
That old-ass star-studded piece of shit, that movie sucked balls.
Suck asshole, too.
Your Honor, I object.
I'll allow it. That movie did suck balls and asshole.
With Reboot, I kind of thought he'd get back to the antics of Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, a movie that had a lot of really funny cameos and, of course, the presence of jewel thieves and an orangutan, and it was kind of scattered in a Cannonball Run kind of way. But this film actually has a lot to say about getting older, rekindling relationships, parenting in a big way, and I don't want to sort of explain where the story goes in that, but it's a pivotal conversation point for the reboot.
Anybody with cum can be a father, but only love can make you a dad.
And so, yes, it really struck me that Kevin Smith is putting a cap on these subplots that he's been exploring and giving some closure to a lot of the characters that he introduced early on. And to do that, he has to go to some really mature territories that I didn't know he was ready to explore. And it's not forced. It really does play out in a way that these characters are sort of wrestling with some complicated feelings about where they are in their stages of life, and again, it fits the mold of the characters and works really, really well for the story that's trying to be told in Reboot. Now, that's not to say that this isn't a really funny movie as well, too. I know Kevin Smith has been saying in interviews that he wants to go for the feels in this movie, and he definitely gets there, but it's also his funniest film to date because we have a lot of experience with these characters, and so seeing them again allows them to come up with some extremely funny scenarios and situations to go through as Jay and Silent Bob are trying to stop a reboot from happening. There's a long list of people who show up in this film that have been in Kevin Smith films prior to this, from Justin Long and Jason Lee, who is spectacular coming back to the View Askew universe, to of course the familiar characters of Jay and Silent Bob. It's really great to see the Jay and Silent Bob dynamic back on screen before, and it's a lot of Jason Mewes sort of carrying the story forward, with Bob providing silent support. But it allows these two to sort of play off of characters that we've seen in other films, whether it be Ben Affleck's Holden or again Jason Lee, who I cannot celebrate enough. And then you get a lot of unexpected cameos of people to show up who were, smaller parts of other Kevin Smith films, like Rosario Dawson, who isn't actually reprising her Clerks 2 role, but playing a new character in a really unexpected performance, as well as a lot of other really surprising A-list cameos that, again, I don't want to explain to you. I want you to sort of experience it when the roadshow comes through your town. Finally, the most important thing that I think Jay and Silent Bob's reboot does is it finds that right amount of authentic nostalgia that you just don't see in theaters nowadays. Hollywood studios obviously are trying to tap into things that we used to love as they're bringing back new projects, and sometimes it feels really forced. You'll look at a movie and sort of say, yeah, I know that I liked that back in the day, but I don't necessarily want to see more of it in the year 2019. Jay and Silent Bob Reboot kind of falls into that. However, it finds really authentic, genuine ways to bring these characters back and to go through all of these early movies in Kevin Smith's career and remind us why we liked them in the first place. It's definitely not a cash grab, let's get everybody back together for a cheap, nostalgic adventure. It's instead a story that Kevin really wants to tell now, post-heart attack, that puts a nice cap on almost every movie from his early part of his career, and I found that authentic, sweet spot of nostalgia to be really welcome in a time when it feels like studios are just sort of exploiting our memories for popular movies nowadays. As you guys can tell, I'm a huge fan of Jay and Silent Bob Reboot, so I'm a little bit frustrated by this strange rollout that he and Jason Mewes are doing, where they're taking the movie on tour to different cities around the country. We're not quite sure what the wider release schedule plan for this is. Right now, these Reboot Roadshow tour stops are programmed all the way through to next February, and then I assume it's going to hit home video after that point. But right now, we don't know when you guys are going to get a chance to see it if it doesn't play your city. I would recommend going to rebootroadshow.com to find out where the movie is going to be playing and where Kevin Smith and Jason Mewes are going to be bringing the film to, and then just stay tuned for more information as we find out if the film is going to go wider, because I really want more people to go out and see this film. I mean, it's been a while since Kevin has made a movie that I'm actively pushing people to theaters to go see. This one is absolutely worth your time, and now I just need more people to find it.
Smells like this reboot went up in smoke.
So if you've managed to see it, go down in the comments section, tell me your thoughts on the film, weigh in on Kevin's whole career, and let us know if you're going to be seeing the film at one of the Reboot Roadshow stops in the future. While you're down there, of course, do me a favor, hit subscribe and turn on your notifications. We're covering all sorts of films here on CinemaBlend's YouTube page, and we want to make sure that you guys keep up to date with all of our latest videos.